I used to correspond with Muslim extremists, not as a terrorist, obviously, and many CIA agents, many obvious undercovers and informants were part of the groups in different forums and communities online. So I know about the motives behind these attacks. And if you care about the truth, you'll listen to this video in its entirety. Now, it was very interesting how, as the top martial artist in America, they did not want me to be known as the top martial artist, but they were quick to try to recruit me to join a terrorist organization and commit attacks, especially abroad. The focus was to do it in a foreign nation, not here in America. Something else I noticed as well. And I couldn't help but think, well, there's this New World Order multicultural agenda, but there's also this separatist agenda at the same time. You know, are these issues really issues that they care about? No, they don't. They don't care if every country separates or if every country integrates. You know, they only care about controlling the money and Israel getting the vast majority of the money, the lion's share. So what we have is a bunch of fake Jews who basically get the money and control the political movements using their money. They don't have to account for the foreign aid that they receive from America. While Africans suffer, 6 million sub-Saharan Africans die every year from communicable diseases, and that is only about 62% of the mortality rate, preventable deaths. Yet Israel gets most of the foreign aid, and that aid goes into psychological operations and things of this nature. And now, a psychological operation isn't just something to trick your mind. It also includes military aspects, people getting killed. For example, street gangs are the result of a psychological operation, a series of psychological operations, and they use the symbols of groups. You know, secret societies are really psychological operations where they take ideas from religion that they have studied and they use their symbols to try to achieve a desired outcome. The belief of cause and effect and what have you. So you'll see colors being used in these psychological operations. And if you look up gang stalking or government harassment, or covert experimentation, MKUltra, colors were a part of this. If you look up colors themselves, red draws the attention the most, and I believe purple stands out the most at night or something like this. So colors are a scientific application to, you know, this being attached to psychological operations, as well as symbols. Symbols trigger certain parts of the mind. That's why stop signs, for instance, have a certain shape. They're red and they're shaped a certain way, a certain geometrical shape. Now, secret societies refer to this as sacred geometry. They also have numerology, and they believe numbers play a role as well. They believe in patterns of nature, and if you look at Carl Jung, the famous psychologist, he believed in just that. You look at Freud, he was of Jewish descent. So, excuse me, because of my work, I'm being harassed, and so I had to take a brief break there and clear my throat. So what do you expect from these people based on what they believe on record? Not just what conspiracy theorists are saying, but I'm only going to deal with the facts. You expect them to covertly drug people, because if you look at MKUltra, you look at Jim Jones, you know, Jonestown, Heaven's Gate, the different cults that the CIA on record started when you truly do the research. This is not something you're going to find easily. You have to truly do some digging to find the valid sources, but it quickly comes out that yes, the CIA started a lot of these cults, and basically secret societies started the CIA, and these secret societies believe in a scientific approach to religion, which basically means using religion for the purpose of psychology when all is said and done. It's the same thing with magic tricks and the magical world of Disney. Again, you know, I have to start over. Well, many of you will have trouble believing this, and I don't see why you would, but, you know, they are basically spraying my home and gassing it, and I've sealed vents and reduced it for a little while, but now they're back to their old tricks. And so you can tell by my voice, right? I've cleared my voice several times. I've had to start over, you know, several times. Start the clips over. So anyway, yes, they believe in sabotage and disruption, giving people Mickeys and roofies, and covertly drugging people. They believe in drugging people in a way that has plausible deniability. For instance, the pharmaceutical companies drugging your water. Now, they didn't just throw the drugs in the water and risk getting accused of it. They don't dump hazardous waste in an area that contaminates water supplies. They actually went through a long process of working with legislators and politicians to set up the mental health systems and have an aggressive marketing campaign. And just like with the bankers, where they get a slap on the wrist when they get carried away or when they get caught, and then they keep going. You know, it's like a snowball going down the hill. Every once in a while, they take a little piece off and give a payout, but the snowball keeps rolling and getting bigger and bigger. So they basically set up the stage for them to drug the water supply in a way that had a lot of plausible deniability. Okay, so I know this because I corresponded with terrorists. I've hung out with gang members for many years. Gang members on record work with the government no matter how you slice it. There are informants. The government doesn't just say, you know what, give me this information. As soon as I have it, I'm going to go arrest everybody. They sit there. They decide what they're going to do. They decide what course of action to take, and they consider the you know, what's in the best interest of the big businesses behind the government, which are controlled by organized crime and secret society. In societies. In fact, organized crime is made by secret societies, and their rituals and their policies and their structure is all comes down from secret societies, especially Freemasons. And the reason why that is that it's for the psychological effect. You know, you burn this saint, and if you betray us, you will burn like this saint, you know. Or, you know, the way that there's a Don and a Godfather and the certain rituals and the secrecy and everything that surrounds it, the way they dress, where they hang out, what they drive. I mean, it is all well thought out, thoroughly planned by social planners. You know, right now my lung is close to killing me. Even though I've sealed off the vent in my room, they found another way to gas. My mom has had asthma for like 2 weeks now, just a horrible asthma attack. You know, even though my family is pretty much helping them out, they still gas them as well. So I'm going to have to stop it there and bring you to some other clips. But to make a long story short, this attack is a result of secret societies that set up organized crime and gangs on record. Some people claim that they go back to the Vatican. There's some truth to that. Yeah, but they also predate the Vatican, the occult ideas, okay? And the main secret societies doing this were formed like 1,500 years after, you know, the birth of Christ, the Freemasons in England. Now, I know this to be true because Masons have come up to me and flat out said, offer me deals. You know, if you stop talking about, you know, stop talking about this, we're going to give you all the money, the push you want. They've said things like, we can either make your dreams come true or your nightmares, and so on and so forth. And they love this problem solution. They love trying to claim that they control the spiritual and the secular world. They control crime and the legislators and the law enforcement and so on. You know, this is all by design. You know, it reminds me of these video games you play, you know, like Civilization, or more like Sim City, you know, Sim Earth, those old video games where you create the planet and you're the social planner, and the crime happens as a result of your social planning. If you don't plan it well and put police stations in the right places, the crime occurs. If you put police stations in that neighborhood, it reduces the crimes and so on. So ultimately, they control, from a sociological perspective especially, they control the crime, they control the law enforcement. And they try to control individuals and stifle dissent to make sure business runs smoothly. And, you know, it goes back to making a killing when they kill people and profit from it. And they turn a blind eye to the killings in Africa and the killings in the Middle East and so on. So ultimately, all this really, it goes back to mental health. And if you don't remember anything else I say, do not trust mental health with your mental health or with your children's, okay? And society will go to great lengths to force you to confide in mental health, to turn to mental health. And they will say, well, everything's confidential. But of course, they share what you say with law enforcement. They share what you say with secret societies, you know, and sometimes they share it with criminals, you know. This idea of a confidentiality is a complete farce. Do not trust it. I promise you. I know gang members in mental health. I promise you nothing is confidential there. And they go to great lengths to make sure that they don't get busted for leaking, you know, what they say, because they have non-disclosure agreements. They have their own confidentiality agreements. They have their code of silence. They have oaths, and they're in secret societies and so on. So they're not worried about sharing your information and getting caught, because chances are the judge is in on it, the prosecutor's in on it as well. There's 2 million Masons alone in America, and that's not the only group at play here. There's organized crime, there's gangs, there's law enforcement with code of silence, with the codes of silence. There's organized crime, there's intelligence agencies with non-disclosure agreements and what have you. So that's not the only group at play here, and these people have informants everywhere, thousands of informants everywhere. There's no way around this, okay? What's going on here absolutely is by design, no matter how you slice it. I'll go as far as to say that I promise you that the secret societies behind society are more responsible for the rise of ISIS than al-Baghdadi himself. I promise you. They're more responsible for the rise of the Crips gangs, the different Crips sets, the Mexican mafia, than these gangs are themselves. Okay, these people knew exactly what was going to happen if they did things a certain way. You know, that's like me leaving you in the fucking desert, right? With no food, no water, and as you're miserable as hell, starving to death, I leave you with a gun with one bullet, and you shoot yourself. Who's more responsible for you shooting yourself? You, because you actually did it, or me, because I went to great lengths to set the stage? I mean, you people just don't understand. You know, while you're angry at ISIS and all these people, don't forget to blame who's really to blame here. Western societies, secret societies behind the Western governments. Okay, secret societies behind everything. Universities, okay? Go look at the history of universities. They were founded by secret societies for the white privileged class. And after a while, they slowly started accepting people from different races and religions and so on. Okay, you don't truly understand how this works. Okay, these people never made things fair. They always did things in their best interest. You know, and what you expect from these groups is what they do on record all the time. Covert drugging, covert experimentation, psychological operations, great lengths for social control. You know, planting informants in your life, you know, sabotaging your life, using the IRS against you, using gangs against you, using your teachers at school, your psychiatrists, your family members. I mean, this is what they do on record. Okay, on record, I promise you, I know this for a fact. And if you look at my other videos, you'll understand how I know this for a fact. Again, if you want the truth, then you need to listen to what I'm saying. Play this video again. Truly think about what I'm saying and what it means for society, what it means for you, and how you could not possibly be a good person if you are a conformist. Think about it. Thank you. Stay tuned for part 2, where I explain to you using valid resources how a bunch of effeminate weaklings in secret societies have manipulated this thing on record. You can look it up in the encyclopedia. You can look it up on government sites. You can look it up in mainstream news documentaries that the government has never contested. A quick demonstration as to exactly why these weaklings are hiding from my top martial artist challenge. Because martial arts is a secret society. Think about ninjas and ninjutsu and the Yakuza. Think about Shaolin, Kung Fu, and monks and kung fu secret societies and how these things are done in secret behind closed doors. And you are pretty much initiated, and there are rituals and sometimes temples in the dojos. Anyway, without further ado. I used to correspond with Muslim extremists, not as a terrorist, obviously. And many CIA agents, many obvious undercovers and informants were part of the groups in different forums and communities online. So I know about the motives behind these attacks. And if you care about the truth, you'll listen to this video in its entirety, not here in America. Something else I noticed as well. And I couldn't help but think, well, there's this New World Order multicultural agenda, but there's also this separatist agenda at the same time. You know, are these issues really issues that they care about? No, they don't. They don't care if every country separates or if every country integrates. You know? Now, it was very interesting how, as the top martial artist in America, they did not want me to be known as the top martial artist, but they were quick to try to recruit me to join a terrorist organization and commit attacks, especially abroad. The focus was to do it in a foreign nation. They only care about controlling the money and Israel getting the vast majority of the money, the lion's share. So what we have is a bunch of fake Jews who basically get the money and control the political movements using their money. They don't have to account for the foreign aid that they receive from America. While Africans suffer, 6 million sub-Saharan Africans die every year from communicable diseases, and that is only about 62% of the mortality rate, preventable deaths. Yet Israel gets most of the foreign aid, and that aid goes into psychological operations and things of this nature. And now, a psychological operation isn't just something to trick your mind. It also includes military aspects, people getting killed. For example, street